He had the teams playing defense. He had like the older 1980s skates that were like black and white. He had tongues out. Yeah, fashion statement guy. I like that. Perfect. Woo.
Hopefully this broadcast is a little bit better than last year's. Rain.
Dude, it was tough.
Just kidding. It's a joke. Too soon?
What?
You guys ready?
Yeah, we're ready.
Oh, yeah.
We have Maroons. Who's got the second pick?
Second pick is the Americans.
Ryan Allen. Oh, goal! I forgot we're with the goal.
We're going
We're the
goalie
goalies,
first.
baby. Yeah.
Trent, you ready to go?
All right, welcome again to Monday Night Lights Draft 2020-21 season, live from Norm's Field of Dreams in Troy, Michigan. We have about 45 of the guys from the league in attendance tonight. It's always a great night. We're about to start off the draft, and it's my understanding that we will be drafting the goalies first. So do you want to just reveal the goalie order?
The goalie order currently, as it stands, is the Whalers first, the Americans second, the Tigers now with the Nordiques pick at 3, the Maroons at 4, the Seals 5, the North Stars 6, and lastly the Deeks at 7 with the Tigers.
So snuck in
With
here.
the Tigers pick now. Based off of last year's order, I think the consensus number 1 is Mr. Dylan Lesnar, Mr. Loosey Goosey. I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about how his stand-up performance was last year, but
Well, his performance basically boils down to he made the championship game, but his affinity for Pink Whitneys may have persuaded. We're good, thank you. But no, he lost in Game 3 of the finals. I think he's the clear number 1. The guy, he's a big guy, takes up a lot of net.
Open it up when you're ready.
Great quality locker room guy.
quality locker room guy,
Quality slack guy. I mean,
We got the number
every
one
every
overall
tangible you
goalie
want.
draft.
Had .4 goals against average, less than the second place person. Not to toot my own horn, but like he was leagues above the rest of the league last year, and he arguably faced like some of the highest danger shots in the league. So
we have GM Trent Young of the Whalers coming up with the number 1 goalie pick.
Little photo op.
that's where it is.
As predicted, Dylan Loosey Goosey Lesnar goes number 1 overall for the goalies. He's going to fit in good in that Whalers locker room.
It'll be a nice change of pace from some of the quiet guys in the past the Whalers had. So I think that having Loosey Goosey in the locker room will bring some energy that Trent and bust out some of the quieter guys in the league won't do. Now next up is going to be GM Antioch for the Americans, and he has placed his second goalie pick. And he has chosen the borderline consensus number 2. What we thought was going to happen was he chose his friend Pangazzi, his goaltender that Antioch himself actually had brought in. I believe it's his friend, or was it?
Yes.
Okay, it was his friend, not his brother-in-law. So it was his friend. Looked solid in all the drop-ins. Played pretty well last year, even during our Christmas.
So I haven't seen him. Is he a big guy?
No,
Little guy?
he's like about, I want to say about 6 feet tall. He plays.
So he's huge.
No,
compared to me,
well,
he's
compared
huge.
to you and me and Cam, yeah, he's a giant. But
Okay.
he plays pretty solid, very mechanically sound.
Do we know anything about his background? Did he play in the Quebec Major Junior
He
League?
played some high school hockey, from what I remember. So.
Good quality guy.
Good quality
All
guy.
right,
Yeah.
happy to have him. So we have 2 new goalies in the league this year, and our first new guy goes number
3 actually with Sam. Yep.
Oh, yep, 3 new goalies this year. So
Then
the next pick is going to go traded, and it is going to the Tigers.
correct. So the Tigers will be drafting here at the 3rd pick, and the consent now, and 3 or 4 of the both in Zeke Rollins, Ben, and Troy's mock drafts, and myself, the top 3, the top 2 goaltenders were kind of cemented in stone here. But number 3, 4, and 5 are very up in the air. It'll be interesting to see what the Tigers do with this pick. You could go with an unknown, or you could go with Cam. I think most people are gonna try to go with the known factor of Cam. He's played college hockey in the past. Solid goaltender. Was number 3 goals against average last year.
Dylan's going on Instagram, number 1 overall. Who wants to party tonight? Number 1 overall pick. Oh, baby.
Pink Whitneys for everybody, Dylan. Pink Whitneys for everybody.
So Mr. Loosey Goosey, can you
Want to step into our
you'll
office?
step here real quick in the office for a quick question?
Insta, Twitter.
Tinder and all, baby.
Tinder.
So I gotta get my drink.
Dylan, come on!
Come on! You don't talk. Oh, whatever. Okay.
So again, awaiting the pick from the Tigers, who had traded out of the last spot for the goalie draft into the 3rd spot.
What's going on, boys?
welcome.
Mr.
Congratulations.
Lucy. Congratulations being drafted first overall.
Thank you, boys.
A little bit change of pace from last year of being drafted at the 3 spot last year? The 4 spot last year?
Fifth.
The 4
Gotta
spot
put some
last
respect
year?
on my name, Hetes. You know better than anybody.
That's true. Gotta put some respect in her name.
Leslie, you made the keg finals this year. Your thoughts of what you think of Monday Night Lights in total?
Oh, it's tremendous. I mean, I gotta thank all you guys here. You guys, I made some lifelong friends, and I love this more than anything besides my 2 kids. It goes 2 kids, this, and then sex. In that order.
What were your feelings inside being the first sticker on the board tonight?
Oh, tremendous. Tremendous. This is like a kid on Christmas. And I got that big shiny Schwinn, you know what I mean? Coming down.
The Red Rider
The
wagon.
Red Rider, baby.
Here's to a great year, buddy.
Thank you,
Cheers.
Bear.
Thanks for
Thank you,
the
Hetes.
time.
Love you guys out there.
So go ahead.
Oh, sorry. So in the time that Dylan has been chosen, the Tigers had gone up to the board and they placed their pick. They chose Mr. Cam Clauser for 3rd overall goaltender, and since then the Maroons have now gone up and chosen their goalie, and it was Mr. Kalea, which came in at the drop-in for the Monday.
So picks are coming in fast and furious.
After number 4, Mr. Kalea, it was the Seals, correct? With
Seals, Ryan Z.
Ryan Z was chosen. That's a little bit off the board. Some expect him to go as late as 7th, possibly 6th. So the Seals taking Ryan Z at number 5th. Expect a big bounce back year from him. Number 6, the North Stars stay on brand and choose the championship-winning goalie, Mr. Officer A. Ron.
Listen, he just carried the keg out of Troy Sports Arena. I mean, you gotta bring him back another year.
Surprising he slipped a 6 and the Seals went with Ryan Z over Aaron if they were going with a known commodity, especially since Whoop has taken Aaron before.
Yep.
So, which means that the 7th overall pick and the final pick, what was the Deeks, and the last player to slip to them was Mr. Sam P. He was the only goalie did not make a drop-in skate that James got to see. There was some video on him from a outdoor All-Star game in Clawson. Some high Corsi percentages out there for puck possession. Not a lot of the shots, but from what the fans said, lots of saves. It'll be interesting to see how he pans out for Monday Night Lights.
Hey, with 3 new goalies in the league, you're kind of throwing some darts at the board, and hopefully they stick like a Dylan from last year. So I think the goaltending has gotten better and better every single year, especially because you're not in there anymore.
Shots fired! Shots fired! I love that. I love it.
All right, so now we turn to the main event. The main event being the player draft. Again, the number 1 overall pick, the Maroons, then Tigers, then Whalers, North Stars, Nordiques, Americans, and Seals. So, number 1 overall. Are we going to go 5 years in a row with the straight number 1?
I think we are. With the Maroons on the clock, they go up and select Mr. Paul Proctor.
Listen, consensus number 1 pick. He had 33 points last year. He's a 3-time keg winner. He's an MNL legend, and he's the first player ever in MNL history to put up 100 regular season goals. 100 career regular season goals.
That's the golden puck. So with the number 2 overall pick, the Tigers choose Chris Pfister, arguably the other first overall pick that could have unseated Proctor himself.
It's 1 in 1A. Pfister led the league in scoring 38 points. He can carry a team on his shoulders by himself. Plus, you get the extra bonus of Uncle Pfister.
You do.
You can't.
He keeps score, so your team doesn't have to keep score if you want to be lazy. I mean, he's great in the locker rooms, drinks beer, hangs out after. I mean, Pfister and Uncle Pfister together. I'm waiting for the day for Uncle Pfister to strap on the skates. That's what I'm waiting for.
I'm telling you what, he walked in today. I thought he was a new player in the league. The guy looks like he's 25 years old. He's amazing. But getting back to Chris, what a great addition this year. We got him in the league. He's a quality dude. Brought Mrs. Pfister tonight. She better watch out later tonight. He is the number 2 pick.
All right. Next up here on the board, we have ourselves the Whalers. So this is arguably a consensus pick. Whoever falls a 3rd between Pfister, Proctor, and Matt Taylor. I think the league will. All the mock drafts of the league so far has Matt Taylor falling to 3, but we'll see what Trent does here.
The stickers going up.
Oh, and Trent has chosen Matt Taylor, last year of the Tigers, this year of the Whalers.
So I think he's the league's most dynamic player.
Oh!
Pure skill, pure speed, but what is Matt Taylor's commitment level?
That's the big question, and that'll be the X factor this year, whether he's committed enough to play enough games and put the Whalers on his back to really drag them through the playoffs and get them to the Cup final. Very quickly afterwards, the North Stars came up with the first surprise pick of the draft, arguably, and chose Pistol Pete, shutting Zeke Rollins' rumors straight down the toilet.
So Pistol Pete carried the North Stars to the keg this year, has tenacity, hockey smarts. He's survived and flourished in that North Stars locker room, and he has very strong wrists.
Very strong wrist.
Yes.
Greek freak. Next up was the Nordiques, and they chose everyone's favorite Sugar High, Sean Hardy.
Sugar was on a poor team last year. He's looking to prove the critics wrong. He had an off year, but he still ended up with 10 goals, 5 assists. He was still top 10 in scoring. I think that chip on his shoulder, dude, we're going to get a strong Sugar this year.
You are. And with and he also played last time he won the cup. The keg was with the Nordiques. This year, drafting the Nordiques again. Americans have coming up, and they have drafted Bill Suits. Bill Suits going 6th overall top in the first round.
Suitsy's a top 3 talent. He scores big goals. He's got a high hockey IQ. He enjoys spending time in Mount Rainier in Washington State, and he's the clinical assistant professor at U of M Flint.
Yeah, that's true. I like that. So with the Seals being forced to draft Shawnee in the last pick of the first round, they also have the wraparound pick there at the beginning of the second round, and they chose everyone's favorite, Mrs. Panty Dropper's favorite man, Serta.
Just a touch on Shawnee, Seals GM. 3rd in scoring last year with 13 goals, 15 assists, and he led the league with most assists with 15 last year. And then they pick up Serta. Serta is the MNL version of Nick Lidstrom, the perfect human being. He's handsome, he's successful, but now with Trent being divorced,
divorced from Trent, right?
Right. He tested the free agency and he lands as a
possible new Batman to Robin. That
right.
Is Shawnee.
He ends as a new Seal.
Next up was the Americans with their auto pick and the second pick of the second round, which was Mr. Antioch.
Antioch, keen scoring touch, can score from all points and anywhere on the ice. He was 4th in scoring last year with 22 points.
He's also the assistant GM of the Americans.
Yep.
Yeah. So then after the Americans chose Antioch, it looks like the 10th overall pick, the Nordiques, was a new player, Mr. Drake Braun.
Drake Braun, not to be confused with Brawny, even though I would probably select Brawny at this point, but Drake Braun. He hails from Birmingham, Michigan. He played 2 seasons with the Russian Supreme League with the Dynamo Barnaul and led them in penalty minutes.
And we also have probably the hottest pick so far of the draft. You and yourself, Mr. Ben,
Get out of here.
the 11th pick, is now a North Star, Mr. Paul Bimboletti.
We're gonna break the curse.
He's hiding his crutches underneath the desk. I didn't even know. Shit.
There he is.
Nice.
We're gonna slow these picks down so we can talk.
There you go. Oh, get ready to
Right?
yell.
We need a
So
photographer.
excited. Way too soon.
Wearing the green and yellow.
Again, way too soon on that pick. I'm going to have to go to the second page of my notes for that pick. Ben, here's what I wrote.
How do you like the vote of confidence, huh?
Dude, you can read it.
So Ben has analysis. He believes that thinks he can still keep up with his body, but betrays him. Second in playoff scoring, playing only 4 games.
So, again, I think I can do it. I'm going to give everything. I want my fucking name on that cup.
You played out of your mind last year for the Tigers, and you were second in playoff scoring with only playing 4 games. So when it counts, is what it matters. So get you to the show, get you to the dance, and anything can happen.
I'm excited. Thank you.
So after Ben, the last auto pick of the second round is going to be Trent for the Whalers.
So Trent, GM of Whalers, new partnership with Busta, formed a partnership there. He's the director of MNL officiating, long reach, soft hands, and he can put pucks in the back of the net.
An additional bonus too is he can also play defense if forced to in a shorthanded situation or maybe playoffs.
Versatile.
Lineup. Versatile. On the board we have next up is the Tigers with the 13th pick of this, and the last pick in the second round. So I mean, there's a couple players.
I'm really surprised with that North Star pick.
I'm very surprised.
That's way too soon.
You could have taken John Starr.
Dude, Andy Femme,
Andy Femme,
J-Flo, Matt Lapoudre, dude.
J-Flo might have been a little early, but there's
Chris
arguments
Taylor?
for him. Chris Taylor, which
Dude,
is the The quiet.
Edge, Judge, Geo, Turtle, Rattler, Rubel, all these guys are still out there. I'm going to get traded.
You heard it here first, folks. Ben says he's going to get traded.
Maybe by tonight.
I don't know. But one big thing that North Stars had been very poor of in past seasons is that the North Stars have not been terribly great at drafts, but been fantastic in trades. If there's one thing that Kenny Holland of Monday Night Lights, Troy Otto can do is trade and wheel and deal very well. So if his team doesn't work out after the first 2 or 3 months, expect some trades. Maybe bring another line mate for Ben, maybe Pistol this time, maybe stays. There's a lot of question marks to be had, but I'm sure if Troy can build out the similar type of championship team that he did this year, he will.
I realize it's really early, and I'm being a little short-sighted, but I'm looking at the North Stars makeup. That's 2 old fucks, 1 and 2. It's Pistol and Ben. Troy and Ty. That's your makeup. That's the nucleus of it. And I think right over my shoulder they're speaking of the average age. I just noticed that.
Troy, what was
we got to get younger, buddy.
You want to sit down here quick and take a quick question here?
Yeah.
What was the thoughts on going a little bit off the board here the second round and choosing Ben so early?
We wanted to have Ben for several years. You know, we want Ben to get a keg. He's been the curse of MNL.
The curse of Dave P.
And we really didn't think. We thought the Tigers, with the success they had with Ben subbing, we thought he was going to. If we thought that Ben was going to slip to us in the third, we would have laid off, but we didn't think he would.
So with quickly here, the Tigers pick in the second round, their last pick is Mr. Andy Femino.
Maroon's got 2.
All right, Andy Fem.
Thank you for your time, Troy.
Strong on the puck. He's a value pick. I think he's a top 10 player.
Ben, what jersey do you think?
High on the pick. Has the ability to control the game all by himself.
I think the only downside to his game is he takes short shifts. So if you have a player that likes taking long shifts, a.k.a. Rubes, works it out perfect.
Yeah.
But hopefully this year we'll see. Let Andy Pfister do his thing with Pfister. That looks like a good top line there with a center and a
Dude,
winger.
that's a nice pairing. You're looking at Pfister and Andy Fem, and then you sneak down to the 4th round and get Skillman in the 4th round.
As your center in the second line. If they go all offense and take another player here in the third, the Tigers may have an offensive juggernaut to be dealt with.
For sure.
The last pick of this round is going to be the Maroons, and that's going to be Mr. Dougie Fresh going up here now to place the pick.
Put it vertical. It's a good way to
Pretty much going to script except for that North Stars pick.
I think I had that predicted. Who did I have with him?
John Starr.
John Starr, the last pick of the second round.
Top defenseman in MNL. Great first pass out of the zone. He looks for that forward sprinting through the middle like a la Proctor, the Proctor breakout, and he catches them in full flight. And you can't beat this guy to the outside. He's going to pinch you off into the corners. He is a goalie's dream as a defenseman.
He is. And not only that, but he has the Proctor connection because he's played with Proctor before.
Yeah, so it's ingrained in their memory banks how to get that long stretch pass out to Proctor, catch him in full flight. It's a dynamic duo right there.
And then with the wraparound pick, the Maroons then had the top of the third round, and they chose first-time skater, not first time in the league, Mr. John Farino.
J-Flo, goalie turned sniper. He knows where to put the puck because he is a goalie. He's a great value pick in the third round. I'm high on J-Flo.
You could pair it with Proctor. You could stay in the second line. Lots of versatility there. So with the Tigers on the board with their pick in the third round, they chose Mr. Judge. Get the gavel out there, Ben.
Yes, boom. He has been sentenced. Dave Judge goes to
the Tigers.
Versatile defenseman / forward. Has the ability to
play defense or forward.
Yeah, jump up in the play.
Player, yeah.
The thing is, he's got the hockey smarts, but he's coming off a devastating upper body injury. But he's a threat to go end to end every time he touches the puck.
I agree with that. And another factor too is if you want, I just love the versatility of Judge because if you want to pair him with Skillman on the second line, you have your top line right there. You have Pfister, Andy Fem, and then you have Judge and Skillman. That's a tough line 1-2 to play against.
So if you go and try and outscore teams and win 10-9, you know what? It's still a fucking W.
Yep.
So yeah.
And if you want to, you want to make Judge your top end defenseman there and not wait till the fifth round, you can.
Sure.
And you still fill out the rest of your forward repertoire with 5th, 6th, 7th round picks. So.
So who do we have on the board here?
It looks like the Whalers here are going to be picking third in the third round, then followed by the Maroons. So we're on the board with the Whalers right now.
So according to Ben's calculations, your top picks out there are Chris Taylor, Matt Lapoudre, Brian Edge, Gio Orlandi, Turtle Tim, Rattler, Rubel, Jason Wells, newcomer to the league. There's some options out there for Trent and the Whalers.
If I'm Trent, not that I'm against just drafting not brothers together, but to me you just slotted Chris Taylor because he can play forward, he can play defense. The two Taylor brothers together again. Keep the Mario Bros back together. Let them do their thing. If you need some goals late and you want to switch, maybe Trent needs to play defense and then you need to throw Chris up on forward and get some more speed. You have the opportunity. It gives you a lot of flexibility with your roster throughout the season, and it means you don't have to actually trade, but you can still have the gel of the team stick.
I agree with that. They're kind of a package deal. We're just going to see if the Whalers pull the trigger and take both the Flying Taylor brothers.
If they don't take Chris Taylor here, I would expect the Maroon? Yeah, I would expect the Maroons to be taking him next. So, the North Stars be taking him next, not the Maroons.
Right. So up in round 3, J-Flo went 1 in round 3, Judge 2, Whalers, North Stars, Nordiques, Americans, then Seals. Is there a time limit on how long they have in between picks?
I don't know, but I don't mind it because we can actually get through each pick.
Yes. We were talking fast for a while.
So Mr. Judge rolls up.
Whoa!
That's a barn burner. Went off the board here, and the main GM, Trent, has chosen Turtle.
Turtle Tim D'Onofrio, former Ducks GM. He's taken his talents to South Beach, or at least to the Whalers locker room. He's in the open market, and he's got a keen scoring touch. He can complement a top-end center, or he could be a perfect line 2 center on his own.
He can even play defense. On Monday, he was playing defense in the drop-in. He shut down Jason Wells and Drake Braun anytime he's on the ice. But he was the only defenseman on the floor out of us four that could play defense. So, so if Turtle want to do the forward defensive switch, that option is also available there. Next up on the board was the North Stars, and they went with the ever-stock rising other Lapoudre brother, Matt Lapoudre.
Matt Lapoudre is defenseman 1A, right behind John Starr, as the best defenseman. He's not flashy, but he does everything right, and he chips in with a huge offensive presence. He scored in the playoffs last year. He's a little more talkative than his brother. You put John Starr, Matt Lapoudre, they're different types of defensemen, but they're 1 and 1A.
Yeah, they're both within a skate stride of each other. Unfortunate incident between him and Gio here on the Stanley Keg Finals with the injury. Matt definitely regrets it. It wasn't on purpose, obviously. So
no,
it was interesting to see the North Stars decide to go with Matt Lapoudre this year, vice trying to draft Starr in the second round, which they had done before after Matt Lapoudre this year injured one of their own. So.
Yep.
Just goes to show that GM Troy Otto is not afraid to take any player anytime.
You take talent, and talent always wins. So that's a great pick by Otto.
Looks like Mr. GM Payne droppers up and places his pick. Takes the easy decision. Highest player available on the board, Chris Taylor.
Chris Taylor. Don't let his demeanor fool you.
It's gonna be you, Judgy.
A fire burns deep in his soul, deep in his loins. And when he speaks and when he gets fired up, people take notice and people fucking listen.
They do. And he has the talent to back it up too. He's not one of those locker room guys like Dave P. It's just gonna chatter your ear off and then and ghost like it's Fortnite. He's gonna go out there and he's going to put the team on his back.
I believe he visited the Hat Trick Lounge last year.
He did.
And scored. And scored in the playoffs. So
the next pick, the Americans have chosen Mr. Brian Edge. Went with trusty defenseman they chose last year as well.
He fits in nicely with the Americans. He had his rookie season with the Americans. Solid pick.
Arguably the top 3 defensemen in the league. So this year, the Seals, with the finish out the third round pick, they have chosen Rattler. Back-to-back yet again, just like the Americans.
Dan Ratliff. He had a fantastic playoff, and it's just going to build his confidence up and up. He's dependable in all areas of the rink. I think that's a great pick.
I agree. And I mean, they really missed him in that Game 3 finals.
Yeah.
So, top of the fourth, the first overall pick in the fourth round is the Seals, and assistant GM Johnny places Rubel. Rubes is now a Seal.
Ruby! James, referee Rubel. I think Rubel is the top of the second half of the D-men. He's the top guy in that second tier. Got mono last year, or recently, during this COVID, and it was reported that he got mono from kissing a girl at a truck stop. That's what I heard. But he can jump up in that offensive play, and his stats do not reveal his actual value to the team. Because you think the stats would be there, and they're just not. But he brings so much presence, and he's a natural shot blocker.
If he plays with himself this year and a little bit less offensive.
Plays with himself?
No, yeah, with
Yes,
himself.
he
If he plays
plays
with himself this year while on the ice, the Seals win that much more. But plays within himself just like he did in the finals. The Seals are going to be beyond elated with the pick. So on the board, we have the North Stars. We have the Americans. I keep looking at the goalie because the goalie's right above
messing
it.
it all up.
So we have the Americans actually again with the second pick in the fourth round, the back wraparound. Maybe it makes sense. The back door, maybe. Yeah. Anyways, so just to recap, the Americans have drafted Bill Suits, Paul Aniak, and Brian Edge, and now they're on the board.
So some big-time names out there right now. Although hurt, Gio's out there. You can put the puck in the net. Mm-hmm. You got a guy like Peso, Kimmel, Chad, Polinsky, Vape, Alan Z, Brawny. These are some big names out there.
And also some new players as well, like Jason Wells, Mr. Rakowski as well. So, I mean, you have a lot of options, a lot of players you can go with here. Alan Z showed very good promise last year as a defenseman. Maybe they want to go heavy defense again this year. So they do actually have a tough decision here with the second pick in the fourth round because they're going to be waiting, it looks like, 5 plus 10 more picks till they pick their next player.
So let me ask you this, Hetes. At this point in early round 4, do the GMs start looking at their team and be like, oh shit, I'm light on defensemen and I start needing a defenseman? Do you start looking for these specialty players rather than taking best player available?
I feel you're correct, Ben. I feel at this point in the draft, if you looked at my mock draft, if you looked at Zeke Rollins' mock draft this year, a lot of top-end defensemen started to go late third, late second, early third, and then there's like another bout that go at the top of the fourth, late third. And by the time Rubel gets drafted, there's only about one elite defenseman left, and your team doesn't have that 1A defenseman. You're going to be playing the mid-round 4, 5, 6 game where you're going to have to rely on, not that it's bad, but you're going to have to rely on M. Sukis, the Dougie Freshes, the Turnbulls of the league. Marvin no longer is in the league. If his draft stock was up, he might be in that top 4. He might be sneaking there as a top 8 defenseman, but the way he played last year. But you're going to be stuck with the middle tier defenseman and hoping your centers are going to bail out your team with that heavy triangle.
So are you expecting a defenseman right here?
I'm not, just because they drafted Edge a little bit early, but I do expect the Seals to take it next. Jason Wells. Americans know how to build a team because they've gone defense first.
Sticking with defense, I don't know very much about Wells. All I know is he likes to make fashion statements with the tongues of his skates. So this is kind of like, Matt Taylor has the flow.
The salad.
He's got the tongues.
He's got the tongues. I like that. He's played very well in the drop and skate. Sure, it was only one skate for the fans at home, but he was up against the Shawnee Polaniak line, and it looked like Mr. Polaniak had seen enough of him and has stopped enough by him to think highly of him and draft him here in the fourth round. So that gives the Americans their 2 solid defensemen with Pangazzi at the back end. They're looking a lot like last year's team, where you build strong from the back on out, you get that first good break pass, and let the forwards stay high.
So we're looking at the Nordiques on the clock. Currently, they look like Sugar, Drake, and Chris Taylor. Drake, offense or defense?
He's a forward.
He's a forward?
Yes.
So looking for that 1A defenseman maybe?
It depends if Chris Taylor's going to play defense or not.
True.
They have an option here. This is kind of a big pick for Panny and for Cone. For me personally, I like to see the Deeks maybe take the defenseman here, just because it allows Chris Taylor to either play forward or play defense, and also because they do have the quote-unquote last goalie in the pick. Not that Sam's bad, but no one has seen Sam outside of Dylan, myself, and Dave P. So,
Spicy, what do you think about throwing in a Peso at this point? Bring him back to the baby blue?
Gonna try to rebuild that championship squad. from the Deeks from 2 years ago. I wouldn't. That would be an interesting pick. I personally wouldn't go there, but I could see the justification for choosing Peso there. He was in a down year this year. We'll see.
There's a lot of chatter going on in the background here, throwing out some names like Chad Polinsky, throwing out the Peso, throwing out the Hal Doherty. But
who else is left? Who's left on Ben's highest on the board? Babel, Tim Kimmel,
Gio
Orlando, excuse me. Rutowski's also available on the board. Vape is also available. Honestly, if I'm the Deeks here, I'd probably choose Rutowski because he showed some promise in the drop-in skates, and he's got the speed to allow either Drake or Rutowski to play with Sugar, and that's what Sugar needs. He needs another player to keep up with that elite speed.
Yeah, he did not have that last year with his line mate Ben. Sugar was 3 zones ahead of me, and I dragged him down and dragged his draft stock down. But yeah, he needs the speed to go with him. If Rakowski is this fast guy, this is an easy pick.
I agree.
Tick-tock.
Who are they contemplating besides
Rakowski?
Gio.
They can take
Is there any
Rakowski.
pizza left?
Yeah, this one's mount.
Can you grab a couple for me, my friend Spicy?
Thank you. The guy with one arm, right?
Hey, let's bring in Cam Clauser.
Cam Clauser, how does it feel to be drafted 3rd overall this year for the Tigers, going to a team that's looking real solid in the front end? Some goal support that you haven't had the past 2 seasons.
I'm pretty excited, guys. I was not expecting. I thought it was going to be a baby blue, and then a little quirk in the road through the Tigers at 3rd. So I'm pretty stoked about it. I think we're looking pretty solid right now.
I will say that your set will look fantastic in a Tiger black and yellow.
Yep.
I also agree.
A little spoiler alert on that one, but we'll keep on continuing.
So where would you like to see Judge play on your team? Do you feel like he has the flexibility to play forward if you guys go later round Ds, or would you rather see him be your 1A defenseman and do the outlet passes for your squad?
Well, the great thing about Judge is he can play. He's an all-around player. So if we do get in a pinch where we have a fast-moving forward team, we can throw him back at D to keep up with those quick attack strikes. He's a good pick. We saw with the North Stars last year, they threw him up to center before he got traded. I mean, he can score, he can get around, he can move.
So Cam, we already know the first 4 picks because the 4th round is going to be Skillman. You look at your top 4 picks: Pfister, Andy Femme, Judge, and Skillman. Dude, that is solid. How do you like playing in front of that?
It's calming, very calming. I haven't had that before. So.
The Deeks on the board at place. Peso! Everyone's favorite smoked out Peso.
All right.
Ryan, Peso, Monet,
has been on the board this long.
toe drag specialist, connoisseur of all things.
Oh, what a steal! The North Stars. Sorry, go ahead.
Let me continue with Peso. Toe drag specialist, connoisseur of all things green, has a handful of names for his own horn. He can wheel a tire downhill and then wheel your woman away from you. Peso, he's awesome.
Would have loved it. Would have loved it.
Oh!
Any younger.
In round 4, Troy goes with another old man.
Holy shit. Tim Kimmel.
A sniper in his own right back in the day. This past season did not generate as much offense as the pundits had hoped. This year might get revitalized with Pistol and Bin.
All right, Tim Kimmel, gritty forward from the mean streets of Grosse Pointe. I mean, the gritty streets. He once went 5-hole against CBC broadcaster and former NHLer Glenn Healy while they were both at Western Michigan University. Just letting you know. These are the facts you can't find anywhere else.
I like that a lot. What's your thoughts on Peso going with the Deeks there in the 4th round?
Well, they've obviously won a keg with Peso, so and kind of like Troy Otto said, they've been pretty garbage without Peso. So we'll see if he can do it. I don't know. He didn't do too well with the Whalers last year, so I think the draft stock dropped a little bit. But let's see if he can turn it around with the Nordiques this year.
What's your thoughts on Ben? And I'll start with you first, Ben. Ben, what's your thoughts on Dave P not being drafted so far in the round? Is this his spot to be drafted right before Skillman, or do you think his stock will be drafted with the known quote-unquote Dave P curse?
All right. Honestly, and this is going off the cuff, Dave P curse is real. It's Dave P curse is here. The Ben curse is here. The Ben curse is going to change. the Dave P curse is going to continue going. I think it hurts him. I think it's going to lag him behind in a couple draft picks. Dave P, Kimmel, we're in the same ballpark. It's just what fit in what locker room Dave P is going to be perfect in.
Awesome. And then my next question here for you, Cam, since you joined us here. What's your thought, and you've seen Mr. Rakowski skate, what's your thoughts on Rakowski as a skater? Do you feel like he could go here in the 4th round above Dave P? Is that an option for the Tigers? I mean, excuse me, it is
Chad. Oh, he's on the phone with Chad.
Yeah, it's the Whalers.
Trent's on the phone with Chad.
We'll see.
Oh!
I don't know. I only got to see him once. He's a pretty solid skater. He can move. He definitely was doing a couple circles around people on Wednesday.
Seattle's looking better.
I'm sorry, Monday. So
Is he the best player that doesn't have a team yet?
You think he's a top talent available?
Oh, you got a
I think he
shoulder
will go
shrug
over
from
Dave
Tim.
P.
You got a fuck
That's
yeah
my
from
thought
Dylan.
process.
The pick is in.
So the pundits have chosen that Mr. Rakowski is probably the top player left on the board right now. We'll see if Rakowski is the top player left, or it's Dave P. Or and the Whalers have stuck with the curse and have chosen Dave P. Wow.
All right, guys. I'm going to keep
Thank
on
you.
drinking.
See you later, Cam. Thanks for having me.
Dave
Fool me once,
Vape
shame
Poodlin.
on you. Fool me 8 times, shame on me.
There goes Troy. Dave P, MVP caliber during September, October.
September Heisman.
He plays a similar game to like Steve Ott, Jordan Tutu, but without the size, speed, and scoring touch. Gotta fucking love Dave P.
Expect his goals to be down this year, Ben. I'm not in the league.
But Dave P is a Whaler again.
I love it.
If you wanted a hype guy in that locker room, you have one now. So that is a motley crew that Whalers are putting together. Matt Taylor, Trent, Turtle Tim, and Dave P. Arguably, all 4 of those players are elite top-end forwards. It'll be interesting to see what they do with their 5th-round pick, or if they parade Turtle out as a defenseman, as he's shown he's very capable of doing this year.
Dave P. Interesting. All right, still some big names out there, guys. Some blockbuster picks coming up. The last pick of round 4 for the Maroons, and then they'll swing back around for that first pick in round number 5. So, Maroons on the clock. Up steps Brian Piercy with the last pick of round 4.
Does Dougie pull the trigger on his buddy? Did he talk Piercy into it? We will see. Right now, Piercy's like, wow, this guy's low on the list. We sure we want this guy?
And with the pick,
Alan Z on the board.
wow.
Get him a t-shirt. Get him a t-shirt.
With round 4, the Maroons choose Alan Z,
The other sheet.
a defenseman or forward. Another one of those players that has the versatility to play up or down.
He's going to the sheet. Right.
Allen Z's draft stock has been going way up after his impressive play during a contract year last year. He rarely makes mistakes, rarely makes bad plays. He keeps it simple and is effective.
He had the 2nd highest Fenwick number last year, Ben. The 2nd highest Fenwick number. And he had never played defense before last year for the Seals. So for the Seals, he was monstrous.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. The 5th round pick was a wraparound pick for the Maroons. And the Maroons chose Mr. What's Rotowski's first name? Rotowski. For the top of the 5th pick for the
I
Maroons.
think I had that exactly right. Too.
So that's a game winner. Now at this point with the 6 and 7 locked in for the Maroons, you can see the squad coming together for the Maroons with Proctor, Starr, J-Flo, Alan Z, Rotowski, Dougie, Piercy. They've got the possibility of the most elite defense in the league and 2 fantastic centers, or they could go with 3 strong defensemen, 2 solid wingers, and Paul Proctor.
Try and win those games 1-0. Proctor scores early, and then you hold on for dear life.
Rotowski's got a scoring touch. For him to slip to the 5th round is massive. I'd expected him to go higher. I mean, personally for me, the Whalers take Dave P. The North Stars took Kimmel. Both of those players are too high, including Peso. I would not have taken Peso if I was the Deeks at the 3rd pick in the 4th round. That for me is a little too high. I would like to see Rotowski have gone a little bit sooner. He has enough wheels in this league to really make a good first step with the puck and beat the player he's trying to beat, or get speed and make that good head-man pass.
Especially, I just want to go back one round. We glazed over the Tigers' 4th round pick, which is their GM, Jeff Skillman. Jeff Skillman is currently MNL's darling. He's the only player in MNL history to score Hetes in championship series. He's the straw that stirs the drink for the Tigers. He's got size, strength, and a knack for scoring key goals. Him in the 4th round, and that's the end of the 4th round, that's criminal.
It is. Honestly, should Skillman be a little bit higher up on that board? Should he be above players like Dave P, Kimmel, Peso, Jason Wells, newcomer, and Rubel? If you wanted to make the argument that Skillman was a late 3rd rounder around Rattler's skill level, you could.
Yeah.
I mean, plugging in for the North Stars, they were able to get such a high value on a pick that they arguably missed last year's draft with Graham. So having Skillman slide in was just fantastic.
And that's just kind of the nuance of our Monday Night Lights league. You know, every year the ping pong balls go in, they pull them out of the chute. So it's a different draft order every year. Monday Night Lights was won by the North Stars last year, but yet they're in the middle of the draft rotation. It's just luck of the draw. It's compromised and agreed upon by all the managers that, hey, you're a 4th round pick or you're a 10th round pick, and it just happens that you're early in the 4th round or late. That's just that nuance of our draft.
I mean, this year, Whoop is an 8th round pick. You could argue that Whoop is, he shouldn't be the top of the 8th. You could argue Whoop could be a 9th round pick. That being said, we do have a little bit of rose tinted glasses right now for Skillman. But let's move on. We're looking at
we're sitting on the Tigers. We're waiting on the Tigers
pick, and after the Tigers will be followed up by the Whalers. So it'll be interesting to see where the Whalers go. I can see them taking defense there. I don't know who's on the board at that point. Maybe Brawny, maybe Turnbull. Maybe Turnbull. We'll see what happens.
I got a new shirt.
You do? You got to put that on. Come on, Benner.
I got a new shirt. The green. Dude, just wait, because I already have the kit waiting for me at home.
I'm waiting for you to buy some pro return gloves, the Coopers from the 90s,
don't
the
you
Whalers
worry
to match.
Don't
the
you
Cooper
worry.
Whalers to match. You better bring them.
I may find some green Cooperalls, the full-length pants.
Oh, like the Flyers back in Bowling Green. Yeah, that'd be great.
All right, so anybody who has stuff listed on Craigslist or Marketplace tomorrow, I'm looking for all green gear. It's much like golf. If you can't play good, at least look good.
Did you tell him that? Does he know? Yeah, I'll right now.
So we're coming a close up on the time limit. They may forfeit their draft pick. Tigers still on the clock.
I think in this round, either between the Tigers or the Whalers, one of those two teams are probably going to reach out and take Chad. Chad Polinsky is another name that did not play last year, but a big name in the league. Great locker room presence, great league presence, and honestly, Ben, he's a good scorer. I mean, for a 5th round pick, you get Rakowski or you get Chad or Troy, you can't complain.
Listen, I think all these guys are looking too short-sighted. Gio's still sitting out there. Gio is still out there.
I don't think he's in the league this year, Ben, due to his wrist injury.
Dude, he's in.
He's in?
He's in. 6 weeks. He's in.
Are you being drafted this year? You're way better than Chad.
He's not being drafted this year.
I'm sitting this one.
You son of a bitch. There goes my whole broadcast. I put it around you. All right, so news to me. Gio's not being drafted.
It's just in, fans at home. Gio's not being drafted.
Taking some time off to do the dad thing. Not so much the injury. It's all about being a new dad, and he's going to commit his time to Mrs. Gio and Grandma Gio and his bicycling career.
He still has the right hand, so.
There's another sheet.
I didn't know.
It's fine.
You're going to forfeit the pick.
They're just going to choose Chad. Just choose Chad.
We're picking random.
Just choose Chad.
I wish we could slide a picture on.
The Whalers are making the best locker room.
I wish we could put a camera on Ryan Allen right now. He has 7 phones on his head right
Can we turn
now.
this camera to Ryan Allen right now, just to look at him and see the intensity of. Just loosen. Yeah. Oh, just bend it. Oh, perfect. Look at this. The man is calling Jeff Skillman on the road through the airplane, closes the laptop and the fax.
I think I just heard, Jeff, help me. Jeff, help.
Draft by committee, Cam Clauser, and the judge have helped Ryan Allen put the pick in for the Tigers.
We got a pick.
And the pick is
Eric Lapoudre.
Top of the 5th. They needed defense, and they took, as you just heard over my shoulder, from Paul Proctor, the best poke check in the league.
Eric Lapoudre. He doesn't say much, but he doesn't have to. His play speaks for himself. He was also the winner of Monday Night Lights All-Star edition of the hardest shot last season.
Hal McGinnis on your blue line?
He just, you heard 22 Proctor, the number 1 overall pick, say he's got the best pocheck in the league. Lapoudre, he's the silent assassin.
He is, and whether you parade him out as your top defenseman or whether you parade him out as your top second pairing guy, you're looking good.
Chad. You're up.
A1.
You're on the clock.
Perfect.
All right.
Judge just rolls in.
No, you're not. You're on deck. On the deck.
A little more to the left. Yeah.
On deck.
Just try to tilt it like like this way. Yeah. Oh, you're good.
Decent? Okay.
Yeah, it's as good as it's gonna be.
They all want to look at you anyway, Spicy.
Oh, I don't know about that. I wore the salmon polo today for the fans at home. That was it. That was all I was gonna do. I'm not trying to steal best dress from Pfister this year, and then Pfister didn't even dress up.
Oh, I know.
He got the good fade though. He has a fantastic fade.
Listen,
him and Uncle Pfister.
he's the most well-dressed man still here because Mrs. Pfister's here.
That's facts.
So-
That's true. You wouldn't let him leave the house if he.
So what do we have out here? The Whalers on the board?
The Whalers are indeed on the board, but I'm gonna have to tag my good friend Paul Proctor in here to assist here with a quick,
Very good.
quick 1-2 announcer bit as I go get another beer.
Oh, I like it. I'm a good beer buddy.
Hey, thanks for coming in.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
5th year in a row,
Fifth year.
number 1 overall pick.
Number one.
My thought was until you beat the man, you cannot be the man, and you are still the man.
I was beaten, so we're gonna see it. We're on a redemption tour. We don't know what we're doing this year, but it's gonna be a lot of fun, and we got a good team going.
So the
dynamics.
Whalers have selected in round 5 Tim Braunscheidel. Brawny goes 3rd in the 5th round.
Yes, very good.
Brawny, veteran rear guard.
Solid
He
player.
plays his position very well. He's a calming presence in his own
Yes,
end.
he is. He's solid D. Knows where to move the puck. Not afraid to make that long ice pass, break it out, open up the ice. Bronny knows what he's doing. That's a good pick. You're
So-
going with Bronny in your squad.
Let me ask you a question, the same thing I asked Spicy.
I like it.
At this point in the draft, do teams start looking at how their teams are comprised and they're like, hey, I'm short on defensemen? Did you start targeting those defensemen, or do you take that best player available?
It's tricky. You kind of focus on what the player can actually play, but then you want to focus on what you're trying to build. So this is kind of the backbone rounds. 5 through 7 is where you're going to find your team. Really support the upper guys. That's what's going to happen.
And I think that's something that this league has gotten in the last 3 years for sure. We learn stuff every year, but that team, this is where you build that team, and this is what wins the keg.
It is. Oh yeah, got to have a backbone. 5 through 7 is where your backbone is. Coner's staring at the board a long time. I know, it's a tricky round.
Paulie, we still got some quality players out there.
They
A
are.
Chad Polinsky, a Turnbull,
The dark
a
horse.
Wood, a Mcshanick, a Joey Ellis, a Sikorsky. What are you thinking
A lot
here?
of movement, man. Chad coming back.
That's
took
huge.
a league off. Got a dark horse coming. Keith Wood, nice little sneaky player. On the Americans, love that guy. Mcshanick, power from up top.
Yeah.
Oof, lot of plays.
So, Troy is slotted in the 5th round this year. Troy was a 7th rounder last
I
year.
believe he was.
Listen, what can you say about this guy?
He was top 10 in scoring.
Now we can say Stanley Keg winner, Chief Goon,
Yeah.
and head sniper of the North Stars. He had a career Troy Otto year, 9 goals, 7 assists. Again, 7th rounder last year. He ends up top 8 in scoring.
That's called an
That's
overcorrection.
ridiculous.
It's an overcorrection. No, he's coming out hot. He's got
Listen,
something to prove.
I started with this league 4 years ago. Troy was playing goalie. And I'm not going to bust Wilkie's balls, but everybody said, dude, he's a fucking terrible goalie.
Yeah.
And then we played against him, and, he was stopping shit.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, and I told him, during a game, with that bin kind of thing,
gotcha.
hey, I thought you were supposed to be bad. And he was pretty good.
Yeah.
And then he goes to forward or defense or whatever, and I'm like, dude, you're a goalie.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're terrible for it. And the guy ends up top 8.
Yep, that's what he does.
Unbelievable.
Every goalie wants out. What do we got? How many goalies we got skating out this year?
3.
Mcshanick, the heavy hitter from the point.
So the Nordiques select Jason Mcshanick. Heavy shot, He's never seen a shot that he has not liked. He actually once tried putting a slap shot on goal from inside the locker room.
He did.
It's crazy. But Mcshanick, he's a big body.
Probably the best big body I've seen in close quarters, too. He really knows how to get out of sneaky situations.
Absolutely.
Even when he shouldn't, but he's doing it, and I like it. So I like Mcshanick.
Jason Mcshanick off the board. Middle to late round 5, Mcshanick. It's a solid pick. Paulie, what do you think about Monday Night Lights? This league, in my opinion, is getting better and better every season.
It is.
And it's not just – sometimes you get better because you bring in good players, but they're not a good fit. We brought in some guys last year that were rookies last year and now sophomores this year. And not only are they good players and made our league better, but these are guys that are here tonight and just quality dudes.
Oh, they are, for sure. It's all about the people. And the best part is when you do switch out the guys, there's just more good guys right behind them. So I think we have 5 losses, 6 losses this year. It's a shame. They're on to bigger and better things, moving out of town for work. But we wish them well, and we're going to have some new friends behind them, and it's been a lot of fun. It's good to see it change and evolve. It's really nice to see it evolve positively. It's great.
All right, so we're waiting on the Americans pick in the 5th round. I look over my shoulder here. I see Manny. I see Paul Antioch. They're poring over their notes right now. I can actually see the little hamster running around in Antioch's head. There's smoke coming out of his ears. What do you think they're looking at right now, as you can see how their team is made up?
Let's see. As far as them, they're heavy up front.
So they're looking at Suits, Antioch, Edge, Jay Wells.
Yep. So Edge is a nice little hybrid. You're going to want him up front or him, And so I'm thinking they're looking D-man. They got to go D-man.
So I'm looking out here. Top D-men available. I have Turnbull, Wood, Sikorsky.
Go the Bull.
Or Shep.
I say
or Shepard.
Bull or Shep, I'm going to say. Bull or Shep, I'm going to say. And with that, all right, there we go. All right, keep it going. I'm going to go Bull or Shep. Bull's tough to get around.
Another big body guy.
Another big body guy. Knows to push you wide.
Smart hockey IQ.
Smart.
Yeah.
Smart. That's where I'd go. So we're looking at it.
No decisions been made. There's a lot of cigarettes, a lot of cigarettes being smoked right now. There's some nail biting. Manny actually has a towel around his neck. Like who was it? Frank Tarkington was the coach for UNLV, and he always chewed on the towel.
Yep.
It's going on right now. I should mention that as teams have gotten selected tonight, each general manager has procured their own color retro MNL. Oh, and there's a beer down by Cam. That's going to drop him a draft pick next year. But each team has their own colors, shirts going on. And as I look around the outside of beautiful Norm's Field of Dreams, I'm starting to see pockets of different colors and seeing teams and even the selections that were made early in the draft are now giving that little input to their managers and their GMs, and it's really cool. It's coming together.
Two getting a massage back there from the missus, man. That's why he plays so good. This kid's got support.
Paulie, it's a pleasure to have you.
Likewise.
All right.
Thanks for having me.
Have a great year.
Likewise.
All right, we're bringing in the number 2 overall pick, Chris Pfister. Chris Pfister, what a great rookie campaign you had, leading the league in scoring. I believe you had 38 points.
Won't happen again.
What are your thoughts first of all, what are your thoughts of this intimate little league that we have here and being part of it and welcomed in, and we're just we're happy to have you. More importantly, we're more happy to have Uncle Pfister and Mrs. Pfister. But what are your thoughts?
I absolutely love it. I absolutely love the league and how it's just.
He's at a loss for words.
I would say it's so well put together for being such a I don't want to say a smaller league, but like a non-organized league, other than just a bunch of dudes that know each other and got together and they just brought a league up together.
Have you played in a draft league before?
Never.
Okay, so a couple years ago was my first time. The intimacy that you get, where you know 1 year you're going to be on the same team with the guy, and the next year you want to kick him in the balls. But yet we get an event like this, or after every Monday night, everybody comes together, and it doesn't matter what team you are, how you played, or if you push somebody or whatever. I think the camaraderie it's something special for this league, and as we bring new guys in, it's just continuing. So the quality of guys that are in this league.
Yeah. No, it's I would say there's been times that like that on the ice, man. It's like it's one of those things where you can't stand somebody or playing against somebody, but after the game, we're all pals, we're all having fun. It's just a game type of deal.
So, Pfister, you were one game away from raising the Stanley Keg in your rookie season. How frustrating, how motivated are you to come back just as intense next year?
Oh, it was kind of frustrating. I would love to have that shot again, so I won't let that pass up again.
Hey, it was a pleasure having you. You got anything for him?
Big question here I think everyone wants to ask is, are you going to keep the beard going into next season, or are you going to shave it fresh and start a new Tiger beard?
Oh no, the beard's here to stay.
All right, perfect, fantastic.
Unless the wife tells me that it's got to go.
And what a pleasure to have Mrs. Pfister here tonight. She represents the lone wife/girlfriend, and we're just happy to have her.
Yes, I would say
so, little update. The Americans, both Manny and Antioch, walked up to the board, stickers in hand, and then retreated back to the war room. The decision hasn't been made. We'd like to welcome in special guest, Mrs. Pfister.
Hi.
Mrs. Pfister, thanks for coming tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Your husband
Yes.
was second in the league in scoring this year, or first in the league in scoring this year. He was the Monday Night Lights darling. We were happy to have him. We're super excited that you came tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Your thoughts of letting him play with us every Monday night?
So he's been on quite a few leagues, so it's really nothing new. He was playing in a Sunday night, Wednesday night, and then Monday night league. And then he would have drop-ins on Friday. So just adding that one extra skate really didn't affect too much. So it's really fun. I liked it. It was enjoyable because we actually got to watch it sometimes. So we couldn't go. Having my little one, we weren't able to go
She
every
did tell
time.
me to stop playing on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Yeah, so because they only had one break, and it was like that break between the Sunday and Wednesday night league. Sometimes they would have off seasons or off nights, so it was almost every single night he had hockey besides Saturdays.
So if I could just make a suggestion, if he ever gets into trouble and he's banned from playing, just make sure it's all other nights except for Monday.
All right.
So
yeah.
thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Thanks for letting us have you guys. Okay, let's catch you up a little bit. The North Stars, after Mcshanick was taken by the Nordiques, the North Stars have selected Turnbull. Dave Turnbull. Dave Turnbull, the pride of Ferris State University. He's told me before he wants to follow in Gordie Howe's footsteps and play on the same line in MNL as both of his boys. Turnbull. Next quick pick was Wood.
Gangster Wood,
Gangster-
as Troy likes to call him.
Gangster Wood selected by the Seals. They had back-to-back picks. Wood selected first. He had 4 goals, 7 assists for the Americans last year as a rookie. Can he overcome that sophomore slump and even elevate his play even more this coming season?
Personally, for me, I'm not expecting huge things from Wood, especially the way that the Seals have built out their roster. He doesn't have to play a big part, so if he does explode for some points, he's in. What I'm trying to say is he's in the perfect opportunity to explode for points, but he doesn't have to because he's not that main man on the second line like he was in the Americans last year. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with Wood, and followed up with their next pick, the wraparound. The Seals then chose everyone's favorite player in the league. Tip jar himself, Chad, Polish sensation, Polinsky.
Polinsky off the board, first pick, round 6. The diminutive and reluctant MNL forward who took a 1-year hiatus to find his inner strength and his spirit animal.
I heard he was in the mountains of Zambezi.
Somewhere, and it turns out his spirit animal is a naked mole rat. So everyone's homework tonight is to look this up. It's adorable. we're so happy to have Chad back in this league, and don't tip jar him.
Yeah, we gotta wait at least until the season starts.
Until
like
he score-
week two, we can start tip jarring him again.
You can tip jar Chad only when he scores a goal. That's the new rule.
Yeah.
Chad, maybe we can start some type of trade between the Seals and the North Stars so we can both get traded or something later on in the year.
Wow, the Seals have gone forward heavy. Looking at their roster, they have chosen Shawnee, Serta, Rattler, Wood, and Chad. That's the top 5 players of their 1, 2, 3, 4 of their 8. So
Rubo's the only defenseman.
Yeah, Whoop and Rubo are the only 2 defensemen. That means the next 2 picks have 2 other next 3 have to play defense.
Polinsky and Rattler can play
Don't
defense.
yell at him. He's a little Polinsky can play defense. Shawnee can play defense. Shawnee can't play defense.
Ignore Whoop. That's not happening. Yeah. Hey, I hear Fister's a good defenseman. You know who's really good on D? Gio.
All right, so on the clock right now.
As D.
On the clock right now are the Americans. The Americans still back in the war room, crunching numbers.
Some big names left on the board. Kevin Oliveira, Sikorsky as well. I think Joe Ellis.
I expect them to take Joe Ellis. That's a familiar pick for them.
2 keg winners. So Cone coming in as the co-GM of the Nordiques. You expect them to take Sikorsky here with their pick?
No, Joe Ellis.
Joe Ellis with their pick.
Yeah.
Jumbo Joe.
Grab a forward. He had a great finals.
And
what a pick!
Yeah,
Co-GM.
true to form, Joe Ellis picked up by the Americans. Joey Ellis had a huge playoffs, just like Cone just mentioned. He was actually tied for 3rd in the playoffs with 8 points. He's deceptively quick, has an accurate shot. He's the prototypical power forward, and I'm a huge Jumbo Joe fan.
All right, I'm gonna get back with my boys.
The next pick of that.
Conor, you got to sit down because you're going in the pick.
Conor, you're going in the pick. You have to sit
No.
down.
We traded our pick, right? So we have a 6.
No, we got to talk about Cone.
Yeah, but you
Sit down.
You are literally the pick.
Yeah, but we got one coming up here.
All right. I'll speak about Conor. Conor slotted in the GM position, round 6 for the Deeks. Another goalie turned skater, right?
Correct.
He's had flashes of that power forward mold and a natural ability to score. He's the Deeks co-GM and president of the Monday Night Lights Goalies Association.
Ironically, the year he skates out. The big thing about fans don't know at home about Conor, he skated out in spring before. We have seen him skate. He is a solid skater for a big body, and honestly, he brings size that the Deeks kind of lack with the roster currently. So for me, Cone in the 6 is a steal. You could argue going in the 5th. We've seen him win a spring keg that is, with the Icebergs in 2019. So love that Cone is going to the 6. That makes sense to me. After that, the North Stars chose. They went with the tried and true, and for some reason, slipping Michael Sikorsky.
Mike Sikorsky. He just led and helped lead the North Stars to a Stanley Keg and to its glory. He's a steady, solid defenseman. I think the North Stars had a comfort with him, and they stick with what's worked. They won a keg, you pick up Sikorsky again.
You can partner him with Matt Lapoudre. You can have him play on the second line as the top pairing in the second line. There's a lot of options with Sikorsky.
Whalers on the board.
So at this point, about halfway through the draft now, you have a lot of stellar players left. You have Mike Shepard, Mark Pellet, John Ite, Adam Sirokis. Oh, and the pick is in. The Whalers have chosen new father, Adam Suki Sirokis.
Sukis, 2 assists last season, had 10 penalty minutes for the Nordiques. New dad.
A little bit of a down season for him. So I think the Nordiques are expecting a little bit more production out of him after the following year, with the North Stars being able to really had man pucks to forward sticks and really be able to carry the zone with the puck with his long reach. But honestly, it's an up and down roller coaster. Monday Night Lights. You can have a great season one season like Peso, next season you can have a bad season. So I expect to see Sirokis bounce back, especially not being slotted in to that number 1 defensive role on the Whalers.
I think that's probably right about exactly where Sukis should go.
That's so. Next up on the board, we have the Tigers picking. Just for the fans, Deeks. Oh, it's the Deeks, yeah, because you guys wrote a D.
Oh, that's a Deke. This was a traded pick.
So the Deeks actually are picking here, which is actually pretty spicy because, yeah, they're going back to back because they are going back to back because Dougie and Piercy are the chosen 6th and 7th
for the Maroons.
For the Maroons. Wow, that's a lot of value shifted there from the Tigers.
So we got some names out there like Eat, Kyle Bauer, Simonelli, Pellet, Shepard,
Kevin Oliveira,
Maff,
Nick Myers, and Maff.
Yeah, there's still quality players going. So we'll see what they want to do here.
For me, I'd be looking on the board. I'd probably choose with their defensive setup right now. You got to choose a defenseman here. They already have 2 or 1.5 with Chris Taylor and Mcshanick. You get a defenseman here. It's kind of crucial to me. I mean, I feel like you got to either choose John Ite or you got to choose Mike Shepard. But then in the other pick, I mean, you could get away with choosing Pellet in the 7th again. So then if you have to sub a guy up, you can always get somebody else. And Pellet would be a steal. Steal in the
absolutely.
early 7th.
Well, the Deeks are on the clock with back-to-back picks, courtesy of the Tigers.
After the Deeks back-to-back picks, followed by the back-to-back picks of the Maroons, due to the snake of the draft, the Whalers will be picking after that. So, Deeks, Dougie, Piercy, Deeks, Whalers. That's the order of the draft right now. Where do you see Alan Simonelli going this year?
I have Simonelli going the next round in round 7, probably mid to late round 7.
Mm-hmm.
I was impressed with his play. He's solid. Watching him, he was a North Star?
He was a Ridge.
Or a Seal. Did he end up with a...
He
subbed.
He ended up subbing for the Seals at the end of the season. He was an American originally.
So he subbed for the end of the Seals for the playoff run, and I thought he fit in nicely. He's a more cerebral player, made smart plays, and made the easy plays instead of forcing stuff up through the middle. Knock it off the boards, live to fight another day. I see him late 7th round. A little pause in the action tonight.
Yeah, a little eye of the hurricane right here we're in.
Again, these are the picks that you win championships with.
2. Family affair. They traded up to get Hawk. Big, sturdy defenseman. That's 1. Who's the other guy?
Look towards the back of the outdoor dining area here at Norm's Field of Dreams, and the baby blue. The wheels are spinning. Can't really tell what's going on back there.
Just a group of boys. I say boys because they are literally all related, and they're trying to draft a player. It's like putting a square block in a circle hole. The one downfall of the Deeks, I feel, in Season 1 was they had a lot of players that were related on the team. I don't know if that plays into a factor here in season number 5 coming up. But for me, I wouldn't force a pick of Alex Hawk at the top of the 7th, but if they do go that route and they choose a higher-end forward with the 6th round pick, I wouldn't be disappointed. From what I've seen and from what I understand, Alex Hawk is projected mid-7th, late 7th, similar to Simonelli. I would expect the Tigers to pick Alex Hawk, but all I'm gonna say is got that that second goals against average. That's all that matters.
Good pick. So the pick is in,
and the Nordiques have chosen Mr. Mike Shepard.
I had the privilege of playing with him a little bit this year. He's an even keel type player, defensively sound.
He took Hawk and Shepard.
They went back-to-back with the best defenseman available on the board, and then they fill the top of 7th with Hawk. A little bit of a reach, but in fairness, you don't know the variables of his ceiling high and his basement floor low.
All right, so let's backtrack just a little bit. After the Shepard pick, the Maroons had back-to-back picks, which were already slotted, and that was going to be Dougie Fresh and Piercy. Dougie Fresh is the only Canadian left in the league anymore. He can, but my question is, can he handle the stress and what comes along with being a GM? And then, more importantly, can we keep him here and not get deported?
That's gonna be a question. Coronavirus might send him back over the border, but so they Dougie was the end of the 6th, correct, and Pierce was top of the 7th.
Yep. So speaking of Piercy actually goes 5 picks higher this draft than last year, and that is due to his stellar play and his silky smooth podcast voice.
I'd agree with that. And nothing to do with his cardio.
All right. Next on the board comes back to the Deeks on the trade. Who'd they pick up?
Alex Hawk, the brother-in-law of Panty Dropper himself.
Don't know anything about him. But if he's related to... Oh, he's married to Panty's sister, right?
No, he's Panty's sister's brother.
Panty's
wife's brother. He's a brother-in-law.
Oh, Panty's wife's brother. Okay, all right.
A graduate of Eisenhower.
Okay, he's an Ike grad.
Like we said earlier, maybe a little bit of a reach, early 7th, but we don't know how high his ceiling is, how low his basement is. He's only been to 1 skate. It's kind of murky, these 7th, 8th, 9th round picks, guys that are newer in the league because they could outskate their value. Great example, we brought up earlier, Alan Seminelli last year, chosen the 9th round, ended up being like the keg final late round sub favorite.
Absolutely.
So, Alex Hawk, I don't want to say it's too big of a reach, so the jury's going to be out on that until about mid-late season, and then you can kind of come back and reconvene and reevaluate.
Gotcha.
Following pick right now, it looks like it's going to be with the 3rd pick in the 7th is the Whalers.
So, guys that are out there, Mark Pellet, John Ite, Kyle Bauer,
Whalers on the board. Who are they
Simonelli,
Don't call Bust.
Math, Olive. I mean, there's some
they already have a lot of speed on their team. Honestly, the slowest player on their team is arguably Trent. He's their 2nd round draft pick. So for me, if you just take the best player available, regardless of speed and ability, and I know Pellet doesn't maybe skate as smooth as Oliveira or as Ite, but to me, he's the best player available. He's gritty. He kind of fits a team that doesn't. I don't know if they have a real set personality at the moment. That's kind of like a group of nice guys, and then like Matt Taylor's kind of quiet and he comes in and plays. So to get Pellet to kind of grind out in that 2nd line and to finish out the line with Dave P, Matt Taylor, or play with like Trent and Dave P, like you compare them.
So you kind of need that sandpaper, gritty guy out there.
Yeah.
Just stir shit up, and I mean,
he can go fight Troy when he needs to.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think the best person available would be Pellet right now.
Let's go, Whalers. Bust. Don't pretend that Bust has a say in this. Come on.
Math, you got a second?
What's up?
Come on in. Bringing in special guests. Ryan Maffezoli.
Math.
Talk about his journey as a North Star.
Ryan Moffalos M-O-F-F.
Just keep going. Just add more letters. Yeah.
Well, but that's what Engelsauce did. That's what I'm trying to imitate.
It's
yeah.
perfect. Yeah.
So, Math, you came in, started seeing the North Stars, a little bit of a rocky start, and then you've got paired with Michael Sikorsky.
Yep.
About halfway through the season, and you guys just took off.
Yeah. This is not due to our pairing, but being paired with Sikorsky was fantastic. Like, that was a great D pairing. It was a lot of fun to play with.
You had the 5th highest Fenwick number in the league after the break, so it's a little bit is on you. You had the 2nd most blocked shots in the North Stars. You played fantastic in the keg finals. You were a +1 in the finals, in the final game, and against the Seals. So
that was all Sikorsky. I'm gonna put on him. And he's also, I heard he's got a tattoo, North Stars tattoo, which is why he had to get drafted there again today.
Which cheek?
Right above both.
Right above both.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, interesting. I heard it was the left cheek. That's fair. So the next pick in the draft looks like the Whalers have strolled up, and the Whalers have chosen. Simonelli in the 3rd and the 7th round.
My heart just broke.
That's a spicy pick for the Whalers. Simonelli had a fantastic season last year, outplayed his draft pick in the 9th round. Very calm defenseman, maybe a little bit off the board. You expected him to maybe take a forward to fill out the rest of that forward lineup, but they didn't want to miss on defenseman. So, What's your thoughts on that, Matt?
Alex Simelli's a great player out there. You always had to watch out for him. He's good with the outlet pass, and I think he played forward a bit early on in the season.
He did.
And he was dangerous there as well.
The next pick in the draft was the 4th selection in the 7th round from the North Stars, which featured Old Man Ite. Old Man Ite is also another fantastic defenseman in the 7th round. I'm surprised not to see your name maybe feature here in the 7th, after you also outplayed your draft stock in the 8th last year. So, it's an odd pick for me for the North Stars because Pellet is still on the board, and they've chosen another old player. So their roster overall age is roughly 44.
Honestly, they're going for a theme here. I think they're trying to recreate that veteran status of like what the '98 Red Wings, like where they really, or what was it, the 2002?
2002, yeah.
Where they really started to grab just everyone who was, ARP level.
Do you think they'll bring their walkers on the ice next year?
I don't know if you can get those sharpened. I think that's going to be the key. Is how do you sharpen a walker? So we got Tigers, and then the locked-in pick with Manny on the Americans after that.
You're at the right. Next up pick is going to be the Seals with Pellet on the board. Who will they choose? They take the obvious pick that slipped 4 picks, Mr. Mark Pellet. Excuse me, the Tigers. The Tigers have taken the 5th pick in the 7th round. It's Mark Pellet.
Now that was one I thought he had dropped a little further down than I expected. Great engine.
Matt, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for filling in.
Absolutely.
All right, who do we need to catch up on?
No, we're on Mark Pellet right now. Mark Pellet was drafted by the Tigers in the 5th round of the 7th with that traded Nordique pick. Mark Pellet slips. A lot of people talk about him going late 6th, mid 6th with the way he played last year.
Can I drop back a couple spots and talk about, let's see, we got Hawk Simonelli.
Go ahead, yeah.
We're Simonelli. Steady, stay-at-home defenseman. Quick and easy. Old Man Ite. 8th rounder last year for the Whalers. He had an assist in 6 minutes and penalties. Who else we got?
Calm and arguably the best skater over 45 in the league.
Pellet. I'm really surprised he dropped this far. He's that gritty grinder. Can chew up minutes during the dog days of January or whatever. But he also shows up on the score sheet. He had 3 goals and 5 assists last year as a Seal.
On that second line with Perry with Brown and the Seals, that was kind of a nice little scoring chip in there. Then to fill out the rest of the 7th round, it was Manny being auto-chosen for his pick. As a GM
predetermined as a 7th rounder. High value for a late 7th rounder. But that, again, is that nuances of Monday Night Lights.
Hey, if you guys slow down.
Brian Leroy, picked by the Seals. He was actually one of only 2 players in the league not to get a point this year, but he adds size and strength in front of the net for the Seals.
Big body that they really, on their roster, if you're looking at it, they don't really have a big body, so he's kind of a little bit of an enforcer there.
Back-to-back for the Seals. GM Whoop. Is he motivated after he's come so close to winning that cup and winning that keg? He's actually the only auto not to have his name on it.
He does. First year.
Nope. Disregard.
He's the only auto to feature in 3 finals out of the 4 years played.
Holy shit, my notes are wrong. But still odds-on favorite to win the Essence of Auto award.
The Essence of Auto, love it. It's that Fabio look. Definitely high for Whoop, especially since he lost a ton of that weight doing the Whoop program, so it's nice to see him up there.
Americans.
The next pick was the Americans with
Ryan Maff.
From
just left our office. Ryan Maff had a impressive playoff performance. He beat all odds this year, coming back after a gruesome leg injury. He had 4 apples last season for the North Stars.
Honestly, his play, like we talked a little bit earlier, second highest block shots in the North Stars. Finished with a +1 in the final game of the finals, and he was the 5th highest Fenwick number in the league after the break. So he's a fantastic defenseman. He's going to slot perfectly on any team's second line. Honestly, the 2A defenseman for me on any team's second line.
Because of trades, Tigers on the board.
With the Tigers roster features right now currently Pfister, Andy Femme, Judge, Skillman, Eric Lapoudre, Mark Pellet, Ryan Allen, and 2 blanks. Their blanks right now are the 3rd pick in the 8th round and then the 3rd pick in the 10th round. So with the names up on the board, are we just going straight talent here? Ben, are we looking for locker room guys? Are we looking for guys that can bring that extra little zip in the corners? Maybe some scoring touch? What are you looking for here?
My opinion, this league is there's a premium on scoring. So anybody who has the ability to put some points up and put some goals on the board, that's who you're looking for.
Wow, a little bit of an off-the-board pick, but Gibb, and a needed defenseman for the Tigers.
Bob Gibb, I like Bob Gibb. Steady defenseman, and if you pair him with a defenseman 1A, that's a top-flight defensive pairing. At this point in the draft, to pick that guy up, paired with the right defensive partner, that's a top pairing.
To me, did you know actually Bob Gibb wore Paul Kariya skates one time before?
I did not know that.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
He also has a great voice on the ice. So with the next pick, the North Stars chose what I felt and you felt was the top talent available, Kyle Bauer. Gritting the corners, fantastic voice, radio voice even.
I talked to Bauer. He's willing to play D.
He's terrible.
Bauer, he's just happy that he's not a Duck anymore. He's the only he actually only wears CCM hockey equipment because he's not loyal to his own namesake, Kyle Bauer.
Correct.
Just a strange fact that I found out about him.
A Madison Heights resident, a big DCFC fan, former Oakland radio voice. The guy's a beauty. One of my buddies I brought in the league. Gotta love you some Kyle Bauer. Not a defenseman, contrary to what Troy just told you fans at home. So parade him out there and weep, I guess. Next up, you beauty GMs, can we take a peek at the board? Thank you. Sorry. Next up is the Whalers here with the
Whalers.
5th pick of the 8th round. Their roster features Matt Taylor, Trent, Turtle, Dave P., Brawny, Suokis, Seminelli, Blank, Busta, and Blank. So
Are they looking D here?
I think they're looking D, or if you want to overpower that forward and force Trent to play defense, you take a forward here. But
No, I think you got to take defense because you got to think of that last round is almost all Bender forwards there, right? So that's kind of the mindset. If I were the Whalers, I would round out my defense.
It's fair. So defenseman available up on the board. Who are we looking at?
Can you talk? Well, I think Olive is out there. Oliveri's still out there.
Nick Myers.
Can you talk Nick Myers into playing some D again this year? He has an affinity to play forward. He wants to play forward, but they do have the versatility with Trent and Turtle that can kind of move up and back, so you can appease him for half the season.
He's still on the board, huh?
Yep.
Nick Myers last year had a fantastic season at defense, not as great of a playoffs. So for me, I think Nick Myers has the flexibility to play both sides. I would probably draft him just so you can play.
The pick is
play
in,
defense.
Spicy.
The pick is in, and that's going to be Oliveira to the Whalers.
Kevin Oliveira, his play and performance were stifled again on that poor Ducks team. I think he's a solid and capable defenseman. Quieter kind of guy, just kind of goes about his job.
Has the best wheels left on the board. Honestly, he's a great smooth skater.
Yeah,
smooth skater.
He's a good skater.
Best skater, Nick Myers?
No,
Yes.
best skater left on the board was Oliveira.
I love the Olive.
The next best player on the board on Ben and Hetes' draft stock. Conor, who do you feel like the best player left on the board is between our players left?
Board. Who we got here?
We have Sips left on the board.
Who's picking right now?
It's going to be the Seals picking right now. Oh, no, excuse me, the Tigers. The Tigers are picking right now.
With the Tigers.
Ooh, a little bit of a reach at
Not
eighth.
No,
that's not.
Two picks.
So,
comfortable spot for me.
Jim Weaver, don't call me Werver.
Don't call me Warford.
Okay. He split time between the North Stars and Whalers, and he was cheated out of a keg championship this year by being traded. Ended up the season with 3 Gs and 3 apples. Weaver, with that pick, late 8th round, that's not a bad pick.
Yeah, great pick. Flexible player, can play defense or forward.
3 out of the 4 drafts did have him going, though, in the late 9th, just the way the draft's shaken out.
Yeah.
So that means Nick Myers' draft stock might be falling here a little bit. You have 3 great players available, and one of them has to fall. You have Sips, you got Nick Myers, and and Matt Gumma available. Gumma. And then you also have Seals all-around all-star center, Neville. So the question is, Which one of these guys,
Sippity doo-dah. He flipped
of those
the
4 I just named,
I would take Sips, Nick Myers here if I were the Maroons. You got
the Maroons?
Yeah, you got a flex player in Nick Myers, and you got a guy who can late round center in Sips.
Sips,
yeah. So it's a good spot to be in. You can play wing if you need him to, or you can be your second line center, and it's proven that he can do it. So.
Does it hurt Sips at all that he's often injured, so then they have to sub in another player after him?
Or is that? I mean, our league rules have changed a little bit. Not you can't sub up anymore. That's a great question.
For me, in the 9th round, I know the benefit of taking Sips, but personally, I'd probably go Neville this year. He has more cardio. He's been proven to be an Iron Man, and he centered the line last year for the Seals. There's definitely justification to take Sips there. I think that's your coin toss. Which one you want better?
I think there's 3 people to choose from, and it's Sips, and it's Neville, and it's Nick Meyer. Nick Myers.
So who ends up picking? Is it the Americans all the way after all the GMs here? I'll tell you what, the Americans are going to end up getting a pretty good pick here with Gumma. After all those GMs go, that's going to be a pretty good spot for him to go right there. Another flex player to play defense or forward.
It could, or I mean, Gumma could also fall to the Seals as well, depending on if they choose Sips over him. Yeah,
exactly.
This is a huge pick, folks. Yeah. A huge pick late in the draft.
It's back-to-back picks, right?
The Maroons have back-to-back picks right now.
Yep.
We could listen in right now, folks.
Ooh, we're going to listen in.
Let's go to the war.
Being counseled by number 1 overall pick, Paulie Proctor. He has a little input.
C's or D's? Do you like them kind of small and handful? Or like
C's are perfect. C's are perfect. Perfect.
Handful's all you need.
D guys over here just be like, you need them. You need them big. And I was like, I don't need that.
C's, come on.
C's. Guys, C's. Okay. C's.
Just enough to play with, you know?
C's also get degrees, too.
They do.
There's a lot of benefits to C's.
We're going to sip our beer. Sip.
Well, here's a better question.
Sip our beer.
No. Why not? Why not both?
Oh, did you hear that?
Yeah.
I heard that. There's a little tell coming out.
Little birdie.
Paulie Proctor with the flamingo shorts.
So
like a champion.
after the 2 picks by the Maroons, we're going to quickly fly through. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 GMs that are slotted in round number 9. We'll quickly touch on them, and then the Americans will be up with their pick. So 2 picks from the Maroons, the 4 GM slotted spots predetermined, and then the Americans.
MNL.
Yeah, I told her.
MNL in Germany.
The tension you can cut through with a knife.
Yeah, that or pour beer.
Was there earlier in the draft? Did you guys see any shocks that was kind of like stood out?
The
to you?
first shock was
the
the guy sitting here.
The very first
year,
biggest shock of the draft
second round, eh?
was Spain in the second
way
round
too
for the
early.
North Stars.
Yeah,
Way too early.
yeah. Well,
The second big shock was Turtle.
Turtle. For the way I feel, the Whalers have had 2 out of the 5 biggest shocks so far in the draft. Some very peculiar picks, but if their roster pans out, they have a high ceiling.
yeah.
Dave P in the 4th was.
I was a little
early.
shocked by the
Was a little
Tigers
early.
going Fister over Matt Taylor. Fister, great player, had a great season.
So I think the
but-
question comes down to what is the commitment of Matt Taylor going into
very
this
true.
year.
Very true.
And the
You got it.
goal-scoring touch
Unfortunately, you got to question it.
of regularity. It's one thing to score 3-4 goals in a game. It's another thing to score 2 goals a night consistently.
Every night.
Every night you
know
can
you're
put
getting
2
out
on the
of
board
Fister.
from Fister.
That's
for
very
sure.
true. You're getting a very consistent, shows up every week, gives you consistent play. That is very true. And I felt like maybe that's a little bit of what the Tigers lacked this year, right?
It showed in the playoffs.
Yeah.
You got a hat trick in game 3. And,
Right.
I mean, it's almost enough to take him up to the finals. So.
Right.
So again, still waiting on the Maroons. Back-to-back choices. Looks like Dr. Piercy is standing and about to walk to the podium.
And
they
Piercy,
need to grab
co-GM
some
and Maroons
forwards,
with
right?
the pick.
last pick
We got
in the
old
8th
man
round.
Ben. Old man Ben. Let's go, baby. Oh my God.
Woohoo!
I took him in the second round.
Troy,
Way
you've
too
never
early,
drafted
Troy.
good. You only trade good.
Yeah, I'm getting traded right now.
Just honesty.
Myers.
Nick Myers,
Myers in the
off
eighth.
the board.
Sip.
All right, let's talk about these 2 players. Nick Myers goes first in the 8th round. He can play forward, can play D. He had 6 goals and 8 penalty minutes for the Tigers last season. Nick Myers.
fantastic. He was great last season, going to last season after cleaning up his body and putting a lot more cardio in. So it's good to see he's finally drafted, maybe even a little bit low, possibly.
All right, so then they follow up with Sips. You can only describe Sips using adjectives. Lovable, quirky, idiosyncratic, cerebral, bizarre, complex. I mean,
sycophantic.
Yes.
Loves his GMs.
Yes. Sips he's just Sips.
He's Sipsy.
Okay. So quickly, the next 4 slots were predetermined. We have Ryan Allen, Busta, Ty, and Panty Dropper, all predetermined spots by the GM, which brings us to the
Ryan Allen going to the Tigers, Busta going to the Whalers, Ty going to the North Stars, obviously, and lastly, Panty going to the Deeks.
Thank you.
We could talk about them, but the fans at home kind of already know about them.
So the Americans are looking at Gumma, Colin Neville, Crunk, Wilkie, Venandy, Drago. Some names to throw out there.
Those are
They're gonna
5
have to take
names.
a forward here.
For me, I feel like you take Neville with his ability to play. Great pick. That's still a solid pick. It's between Gummer and Neville. You got to choose one of those two guys.
So Gumma, he was a long-term sub last year for Panty, who came in. He's pretty much a better version of Panty, but without the panty coptering.
A better version of Panty without the panty coptering.
Back to Gumma, he scored the game winner that gave us the wild card series.
Well, there you go.
That's a fun fact.
At the end of the game, too.
Thanks, Connor.
At the end of the game.
Thanks,
It's a great
Connor.
goal.
So it's a great pick for the
Americans
the
back
Americans.
on the board.
With the next pick, the Seals choose Crunk and then Neville.
Matt Crunk, 3 goals, 5 assists as a Tiger last year. If he can repeat that performance and get him in the 10th round, the dude had how many? What did I say?
3 Genos and 5 Apples as a Tiger, not even as a North Star.
And a 10th rounder.
He's a 10th rounder.
If he could do that again, he's moving up.
He had
20, 21, 22.
He had 2 goals in the playoff series between the North Stars and the Tigers.
And then Neville, really one of the most improved MNLers in recent years. Getting Neville in the late rounds is a huge value and builds this team, and it completes this roster.
Honestly, the Seals are looking. A lot of teams are looking pretty spicy, but the Seals looking pretty decent. A little bit of echoing a little bit of last year's sentiment, where they have Rattler, they can plug in Neville to center. Wood can kind of be like their opposite of like what Pellet was last year for them. They have a lot of options up there on the board.
That's a good comparison. Wood to Pellet.
Yep.
Currently on the board, we are looking at the Americans with the pick. Most likely, best player available in their need, I think they're going to go Wilkie here. There's calls for other picks, but their defense is solid. They have Brian Edge, they have Jason Wells, they have Turnbull. If they want to parade Gumma up there on the left wing and do a left wing lock action with Manny, you take Wilkie here, and he's your only quote-unquote bender defenseman with fantastic hands and silky passes out of the zone.
Very silky passes, yeah.
Isn't Wilkie a teacher, Ben? Isn't Wilkie a teacher?
Wilkie, I believe he teaches 4th grade. And it was also my personal link into the league, and I owe him everything.
That's perfection. As an American GM here, Cone, what would you take if with this pick?
I would take.
And it looks like Wilkie has walked up to the board.
He's picking himself.
And he is choosing himself to round out the Americans roster.
Hey! Welcome back, Scott Wilkie.
That's a roster I've seen one.
Scott Wilkie goes exactly where we slotted him. So Wilkie took a year off this year and committed himself to revamping the Utica Community School District. But yet he failed at that attempt, and now he returns to us, hat in hand, bowing back to MNL. We welcome his return. And
Americans, heavy defense. They have options
Very
all over
heavy
the
on
place.
defense, yeah.
Math defenseman, Wilkie defenseman, Turnbull defenseman, Jason Wells defenseman, Edge defenseman. They still defenseman in the draft. You might even see some post draft trades here.
before we leave the lot, the parking lot, there may be some wheel in and deal.
You know what? That's vintage Americans. They like to go heavy defense and let the offense kind of do their thing and figure it out. So.
The next pick, the Tigers traded pick with the Deeks. The Tigers Tigers are going to be selecting here at the 3rd, 10th round
Just
pick.
a touch on that. The Americans have Suits and Antioch, two pure goal scorers at the top.
Exactly.
So you let them score 85% of your goals and lock them down.
Yep. And then just let them score 3-4 goals a game, and then just lock them down otherwise. And who's their goalie?
Pan gets that.
The number 2 overall goalie.
They're in good shape.
Yeah.
I like the Americans roster this year.
All right, so Tigers are up on a trade.
And Cam obviously has had 5-2.
Ivan Drago.
The Russian himself.
Andy Drago, Stanley Keg winner with the Americans, knows what it takes. He was a 9th rounder for the Nordiques last year. Slips to the 10th, but it's still a solid pick.
And with the players remaining,
Jim Ellis, Wright,
David Nande has been chosen by the North Stars.
North Stars select Dave Venandi. This guy's always smiling. He gives everything he has. He is a valuable teammate. I'm happy to be a teammate of Venandi.
Charles or Jim Ellis? Charles or Jim
With a
Ellis?
little bit of a left field pick here.
Charles or Jim Ellis?
The
Justin
North
Wright.
Stars step over the Nordiques' toes and choose Justin Wright.
Charles
Nope,
or
that's the
Jim
Whalers.
Oh,
That's the
Whalers.
Whalers.
Excuse me, Whalers step over the North
Oh,
Stars.
you haven't
the
decided.
Nordiques' toes and choose Wright.
All right, Justin Wright, he's a big body. Fucking Troy is so loud. He's so loud.
Charles.
No one can hear. No one can hear.
Charles or Jim Ellis?
All right, Justin Wright. He's a big body with soft hands in front of the net. He had 2 goals and 5 assists for the Nordiques last season. If he puts those numbers up again, the Whalers are getting a huge deal with Justin Wright late in the draft.
Yeah, man, I love it.
So 2 guys on the board, Jim Ellis, Charles Mackey.
And Charles is chosen by the Deeks.
Charles-
Get the band back together. Co-GM.
together, baby.
Charles
Your thoughts on this?
Charles Mackey, he's all heart for this stallion. He scored 2 more goals last year. Charles Mackey scored 2 more goals last year than Mcshanick, Myers, Maff, Marvin, and Sips all together.
Wow.
Yeah,
the
get
big cat,
that.
baby.
And Leroy.
Yeah, but I was all right. And then Mr. Irrelevant, Jim Ellis, Jimmy Ellis. He's the pride of my alma mater, St. Joan of Arc grade school. Legend has it that he once stole a Zamboni and used it to try and cut his own grass. That's what I heard.
Wow.
That's fantastic.
That's what I heard.
Wow. I wish
And
I would have known that. Maybe I would have picked him over Charles.
So, wow, that concludes the 2020-2021
We had two.
MNL Draft.
That's it, man.
Ty, you just disregard the camera and say get fucked.
It's absolutely crazy.
What's you guys' first picks here? I mean, if we're handing out the keg right now, I know the North Stars just won it, but who are we giving it to next year?
Honestly,
You just won it, not even a week ago.
Back to back.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, it's got to be the North Stars again.
COVID kegs don't count.
Yes.
For me, if you're looking at, I don't know if they're going to win the keg, but if you're looking for a team to make it to the finals this year, you're looking at the Tigers. The way they built their team, their top 2 lines are going to be stacked. They're going to be it's similar to the North Stars last year, where you have a strong winger, a strong center, a strong winger, a strong center, and you have a left and right wing lock. Another team that excelled very well this draft, the little pre-draft Rochambeau was the Deeks, your team. You guys did some great moves with the Tigers, a trade early on, and honestly, your roster looks fantastic. Your first 5 picks, I don't think there's a miss. Arguably, Peso could be argued that he's not that high, and you could have chosen Rakowski, or you could have chosen Allenzy or somebody else, but the scoring touch he added when he was on the Deeks 2 years ago,
Right.
if you revitalize that again this year, you're looking at a home run.
I think grabbing C. Taylor in the 3rd was key. We initially drafted him to be a defenseman, but then being able to grab some defensemen later in the draft, I think we'll be able to flex him into being a forward now, and it should make our offense pretty scary.
I think it.
Yeah, make sure you put on your green shirt, big boy.
It's all about the green shirt, baby.
Ben bought the North Stars hat, and then the Deeks drafted him his first season, and all he's wanted to be was a North Star. Oh,
there it is.
That's perfect.
How does it feel?
We have bias on the podcast.
Hey, babe, that's keg material.
Well, thanks for hosting, guys.
Killer, thanks for coming on. Give me the 1-2.
Hey, Hetes, it was an absolute pleasure to do this with you tonight. This is one of my favorite times the whole entire year. I had a great time with you tonight, and here's to, first of all, that we even fucking get to play with this COVID bullshit, but again, to a great bunch of guys.
yeah, it was great hosting with you, Ben. I'm glad I get the first time, and obviously a long time. This is my first time, so yeah, it was great, and I'm glad we got to do this.
Cool.
So,
Have a good night, Mike.
Until the All-Star.